We have Mark and Kristen Stache, who are going to share a little bit with us their adoption story. Where would you like to start?
Well, I think I can start with what led us to decide to adopt. I guess it was 2001 when our sister-in-law, she went to China, and she ended up doing a documentary, a film that won an Emmy. It was a Christian Emmy. But anyway, she talked about in there about the Christian Chinese who were persecuted for their faith. So I think that's what really got the ball rolling for us regarding China, because we just had we had a soft spot in our heart for China. And then a couple of years later, it was probably like, 2003
or 4.
We, I went on my girlfriend weekend, and that I do in January, and then sitting there was an adoption magazine. I thought, well, I'm going to go look at that, just, breezing through it, and started asking questions. One of the ladies had adopted 2 kids, I'm getting all quivery. Anyway, 2 kids from Russia, and I don't know, it just intrigued me a little bit. Never did I think about adopting. It wasn't in my radar at all. But I just felt like the Holy Spirit prompting me towards this idea. And the Veldhouse we're good friends with, and they were in the process of adopting too. So it was like all of a sudden adoption. And then I came home and never said a word to Mark. And then it came on Monday, I was on Adoption Associates' website after reading about it in this magazine. I went on their website and I just felt like, oh my goodness, we need to adopt. It needs to be from China. And it was like, I called them at work and I said, Mark, I was crying. I didn't know where it came from. I said, it must be from God, because I felt that we needed to adopt and it needed to be from China. And he's like, where did this come from? Can we talk about it later? And so we did, and I think for the first time, I kept my mouth shut after I told him. I said, I believe it was from God, but I believe you need to pray about this too.
So I prayed about it for a long time, and I thought, at one point in time, I was always thinking of when the boys are older and getting out of school, I'm going to be 50-something, and then I'll be able to take it easy after that. And this just, for me, meant that it was going to extend that whole period of time, until I was 60-something for sure. And that was kind of a major thing for me, of thinking selfishly. And during my prayer time, and I just kind of felt like the blessing that we got from being able to raise our children, our boys, that was some of the best times of our lives. So I thought, well, why not extend that and be able to help a baby at the same time that maybe would never be adopted.
What would you say to a couple or a family who are considering adoption?
Well, if they're considering it, a lot of times it's finances that is their stumbling block. So I think the church can definitely, if there's somebody here today that is having any kind of inkling in their heart, that really to me is the Holy Spirit prompting them. I can't explain it any other way, because it wasn't something I thought I always wanted to adopt. No, never did. Never crossed my mind. So I feel that God blessed us financially to be able to do it. We had to take out a loan, and we brought our boys with us to China, which I will always be thankful and grateful for that, because they got to see an event that it's surreal, that I don't think people can even understand, when a stranger is handing you this 14-month-old baby and they walk away. They're saying everything in Chinese. The people that are bringing these babies into a cramped room, and they just say their Chinese name, and they literally hand the baby over, and out the door they go, and you are just like, wow, I can't imagine what their little minds are thinking, because they just were taken from everything they knew, and they're brought to somebody who doesn't look like them, and it was just emotional for us, but yet our boys got to experience that moment in time where our oldest even said that was the happiest day of his life when we got Emma.
As you might expect, the blessing that we have received from having her, has far surpassed the cost that we've, for us, to actually get her and adopt her. So, I mean, we can't even picture our family without her in it now.
Well, and really, those of you sitting here today, I would ask you to think, can you put a price on your child? Of course not. They're priceless. Sometimes you might want to sell them in the church garage sale, but anyway, for the most part, they are priceless, and there isn't a price that you can put. And so it really, you can't even let that thought, if you've got a heart for it, or if you have a heart for wanting to share what you have been blessed with someone who you know who does, please allow that provision to happen. And so I do believe, though, as we talked about, Steve, that a lot of the providential relationships happen to us to lead us to adopt Emma, for sure.
Well, I want to thank you, too, for being willing to shoot this video and tell us your story.
Thank you.
Thanks.